Hey guys, it's me again. This is our 26th time hanging out. Do you consider yourself to have a good temper? Whenever my mom brings up my childhood, she always says I was a super moody and eccentric kid. I would throw random tantrums entirely out of nowhere. Basically, it would look like this. Out of the blue, if someone asked me a question, I'd completely shut down, refuse to speak, and just sit there stewing in my own anger. If I noticed the adults weren't trying to coax me out of it, I'd get even madder and start throwing a massive fit. Honestly, the way my mom describes it, I was basically a little monster. But in my own memory, it wasn't like that at all. As a kid, I would randomly experience these intense panic attacks. It wasn't just some psychological anxiety. It was this overwhelming, crushing panic that exploded from deep within my body. For example, my heart would suddenly start racing. I don't know if it was because it was beating too fast or because I was so skinny and my chest was so thin, but the heartbeat was so loud it felt like someone was inside me swinging a hammer against my chest. It made my whole body shake and my ears ring. And I couldn't close my eyes. If I did, I would see everyday objects infinitely expanding right in front of me. Like, if there was an alarm clock, it would just grow and grow while I kept shrinking. It felt like the clock was going to crush me flat. I couldn't breathe, so in pure terror, I grabbed my own hair and forced my eyes wide open, refusing to blink. But staying in one spot only made the fear stronger. It didn't just fade with time. I was in so much agony that I'd struggle to my feet, find an open space in the house, and just sprint around like a maniac. I ran faster and faster, hoping the physical exertion would somehow drown out the sound of my pounding heart. Usually, once I ran myself completely out of breath, the pain would actually start to subside. But yeah, from an outsider's perspective, acting like that definitely made me look like a little lunatic. You might be wondering, if it was that painful, why didn't I tell my family? Of course I did, but when the adults heard about it, they were just completely baffled. They couldn't tell if I was having mental issues or if I was possessed by evil spirits. Usually, they'd just listen and then brush it off. So gradually, I stopped bringing up what was happening to me and why I was acting that way. I just had to figure out how to cope on my own. This went on until high school, though as I got older, it started happening less and less. I figured it would just naturally fade away since it was getting pretty rare anyway. But then, during my senior year, I had a surgery and lost quite a bit of blood. Suddenly, I noticed the episodes were happening frequently again. At the time, I was living in the school dorms, and the attacks usually hit right at night when I was trying to fall asleep. I couldn't even run outside to run it off. I had no choice but to lie in bed in agony, forcing myself to think about other things to distract myself, praying it would go away. But then, it gradually decreased again, all thanks to my dad frequently bringing me nutritional supplements. It was just a coincidence, really. During senior year, everyone is prepping for the college entrance exams, so it's super common for parents to bring their kids nourishing herbal soups and supplements to keep their health up. My dad was worried the stress would ruin my health, so he brought me soups and food every week, practically feeding me until I was nice and chubby. To my absolute surprise, as my physical health improved, those terrifying episodes started happening way less. Looking back and putting the pieces together, the decrease in these episodes wasn't because I was getting older and outgrowing the fear. It was actually because as I grew up, our family's living conditions kept getting better. My dad was making more money, and he was the one in charge of cooking, so our meals became much more rich and hearty. He was also pretty generous with my allowance, so I was constantly buying snacks and drinks outside. So that illness was never a mental health issue, nor was I possessed. It was purely because my physical health had been so poor and my body was triggering a physiological panic response. To this day, I still make sure to set aside time to work out every single day, eat proper meals, and go straight to the doctor if I feel unwell. I'm always keeping a close eye on my physical condition. Honestly, it makes me wonder if a lot of so-called psychological issues are really just the result of something being wrong physically. Either way, prioritizing your physical health is always the right move. That's all for today's little story. Thanks so much for tuning in and listening. I'm Ping, a new YouTuber, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.